Welcome back to Wishwell Farms, everybody. In today's video, we will be starting off with some sweet corn harvest, then talk a little bit about how the drought is affecting our green bean crop, as well as a walkthrough of our broccoli and cauliflower patch to show you how close they are to being ready for harvest. My name is Jason. Thanks for joining me today on the farm.
By the woods, the corn is a lot thicker, greener, lusher, healthier. I think it's because it's shaded by the woods. There's more dew down here. But up on this hill, it is burnt up. There's still some decent corn out there, but not near as good as the corn down here in the valley. So even though I don't irrigate my corn, we've made it all the way to today, which is September 11th, and not had any drought issues. Next patch might be a different story. We got 2 more patches for the next 2 weeks, and I don't know if it's gonna make it. We need some rain bad. It's kind of hard to believe that sweet corn season's almost over already. It went by so fast, and we were blessed to have timely rains almost the entire season, except for this last 3 to 4 weeks. We have had no rain, but I think a majority of the crops were fully developed and got the moisture they needed. But like I said, these last 2 patches, the damage has probably already been done. We will see. I'm sure we'll get some corn out of it. It's just not going to be very big, nice looking ears like we're used to seeing all season long. Well, we're all finished picking corn. I think we got somewhere between 200 and 250, which is what we needed. Tomorrow we'll come back out and pick a similar amount, and that should give us enough to get through the weekend. Time to head back up to the barn, get it out of the sun. It is getting hot. It's going to be 85 degrees today. Get it packed up and into the cooler and get the trailer on the road. Well, we're all finished packing sweet corn. We only ended up with 38 tubs today, 170 dozen. We got 4.5 dozen in each tub. They were just a little on the smaller side, but I'm not very happy with what we got. I was hoping for closer to 250, so tomorrow we'll clean the rest of that patch out, and I'm hoping we get at least 200 dozen, or we're gonna be short again this Saturday. But it's not that big of a deal this time of year. I mean, the demand for corn is dropping dramatically after Labor Day, so if we're short, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, I'd like to max out every market, but it's just not possible sometimes when you're in drought conditions and, you know, I don't have overhead irrigation. So I'm at the mercy of the weather. We'll do the best we can with what we got. So this is last Thursday's corn that we picked for the farmers markets last Saturday. Let's see how it tastes. I hung on to it because these super sweets hold amazing. They don't lose their sugars very fast. And I was thinking, you know, if we're really short on corn, I may have to sell corn that's not fresh picked. Let's see if it tastes fresh picked. Wow, that's not bad. I easily could have sold this today on a trailer. Yeah, I can't say it's fresh picked, but I'm telling you, it tastes like it was picked yesterday. Unbelievable. I would never hold that corn until the weekend. Today's only Wednesday, so if I had a market yesterday, like Hilliard or Upper Arlington today, you know, I probably would have put it on the trucks to get cleaned up on my corn. But yeah, seeing that Saturday markets are still 3 days away, and then that corn would be 9 days old, no, absolutely not. It'll be going into compost heap in the field. So I just got a call from Emma. She just pulled out to head to our satellite location with our peddler trailer, and I forgot to fuel up the truck. So Saturday when Nikki was coming home, she told me the fuel light came on about 10 miles outside of our farm. And I meant to fuel it up over the weekend or this morning, and I completely forgot. First time this year I forgot to fuel up the truck. So she is driving all the way there with the fuel light already on that came on last Saturday. She said the needle looked like an eighth of a tank. I'm pretty confident she'll make it. I mean, I hate to run diesel trucks out of fuel. It's not fun. So I'm hoping she can make it. I'm pretty confident she'll make it. And then there's a fueling station right across the road from where we set up. I told her just to grab some cash out of the money box and go fuel up the truck at the end of the day before she hooks up to come home. But right now, it is time to go pick green beans. I have second to the last patch that we're picking today. It's 12 rows. It's very thin, just like last week's. All I need is 5 or 6 tubs. Well, I would prefer to have a dozen tubs, then I wouldn't have to go buy any. But I'm pretty sure I'm only going to get 4, 5, or 6 tubs out of there for Clintonville Farmers Market. And then I'm going to run down to Michael's and pick up half a dozen for Dublin and Powell. Well, I just finished harvesting green beans with our Oxbow BH100, and it was not good. The drought has seriously affected our green bean yields. It almost was not worth going out there. I'll show you what we got. I knew it wasn't going to be good, but that's it. 3.5 tubs. So I'm at least a dozen bushels shy of what I needed. I'm going to pick those up from Michael's beans in Urbana, so I have some for a couple of our markets where we're allowed to sell neighboring farms or Ohio produce. I will save those for our Clintonville market. It's a certified farmers market. You can only sell what you grow. So yeah, not good. We only have one more patch left, and the green bean harvest season will be over here for 2024. Well, it's lunchtime, and I have a funeral to go to, so I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. I'm out here in our very last green bean patch. I actually have one more that I planted over there on the other side of the truck, but it didn't make it. I think it got too wet, and they were planted too deep. The soil was really soft and fluffy, and I think they went in like 2.5 inches deep. The weeds came up. We had 3 inches of rain on them, and they just never really took off. A lot of them didn't even emerge. So this is our very last patch. Let's see how they're looking. Hey, there's actually some beans on them. Well, what I'm noticing is a lot of different stages of beans. That's what we're seeing this year in late season because of the heat and the drought. So you can see a lot of them are still in the flower bud stage. And then you have some pin beans. That would be like these little guys that are like a week to 10 days away. And then you have fully mature beans ready to pick. Yeah. I'm not sure why that happens. You green bean growers out there, I'm sure you can explain that. Something to do with the heat and the way they set. But they look halfway decent right here for not getting any irrigation, but down there they're pathetic. So I'm probably only going to get
10 bushels out of here if I had to guess. So I've got the water flowing. It's brought out to the field from our well with the 2-inch blue lay flat. Comes to a T through a pressure regulator into the 1.5-inch oval hose. And then it tees off in 2 different directions for watering 2 different sides of the field. We got a little gauge there. Running about, what's that say, 14% pressure, PSI. So the only thing I'm watering on this side of the field are these 5 rows of bell peppers, which are a weedy mess, but we're almost done. Doesn't really matter. There's still a lot of amazing peppers out there. Tomatoes are pretty much wrapped up. I don't even know if we can find anything good out here. They're shot. They've run their course. Just that time of the year. Usually we get a couple more weeks out of them, but not this year. The plants are pretty much dead. I mean, there are some nice clusters of them here and there. They're really small. Nice canning tomatoes. But when we picked them the other day, there was just nothing left. They all had bad spots on them. That's just what happens, unfortunately, at the end of the harvest season, mid-late September. I do have one more patch over here. Let's go see if they look any better. Cantaloupes are officially done. There's patch number 2, patch number 3. Those are all small, rotten melons. They're all getting mowed down. Zucchini patch number 2 is still getting picked. This is an old cucumber patch number 2. They've been done for weeks. We're gonna walk down through here and check out the cauliflower. I bet there's some getting ready to harvest. Getting close, hopefully. And our 3 rows of broccoli, and you can see all those white butterflies flying out there, laying eggs. Hate those things. And this is tomato patch number 2. It's just 1 row. No stakes and strings on these. They've been yielding pretty good, but they're about done too. Our 3rd and final patch of zucchini, just 1 row and 2 rows of cucumbers. So right here where the plastic is exposed, because it's degradable plastic, it's already degrading. See how it just like crumbles apart? It's like a cornstarch based plastic. The soil microbes just eat that stuff up. It just disappears on its own. There's the drip line. See, it's making a nice wet spot. It's only been running for an hour and a half. I think it's a 12-inch spacing on this drip line. Just runs down the middle of the row. Waters all these broccoli. Or no, these are cauliflower. But the plastic was blown up right here. That's why these cauliflower are kind of stunted. It was a dry, rocky hill right here. Then we get down in here to the valley into the good soil. These cauliflower look a lot better. Oh, I mean broccoli, sorry. They're coming. Yeah, these look really nice. I think next week these are going to be ready. That's kind of an ugly one. Some of those early ones will sprout out like that. That's a nice looking head right there. It just needs another week or so. We need some cool weather is what we need. I hear a leak. Hear that? You get a small, right there, little pinhole. But it's not bad enough to have to worry about it. Whatever this variety is, I'll have to look at my notes. These are beautiful. They're just nice little heads that need till next week. And then we got a later variety right here. You know, they're a little smaller. They're probably 2 weeks off. And some even later yet. See that little head down there? As soon as it cools down and we stop getting these 85-degree days, these broccoli and cauliflower will really take off. And that's what we want. I want to get these things growing and harvested here in the next 3 weeks so I can wrap up my season at going to farmers markets. There's Joel. That's where I was just riding with him over there in that field, kind of behind my greenhouses. All right, now I'm in the cauliflower, and I don't have high hopes that it's going to make it in time. I'll show you a couple heads. So the varieties that we plant, and most varieties that are available now, are self-wrapping. We used to pull and put rubber bands around every cauliflower plant. It was very time consuming. And then you had to wait and see and feel the bulge that was coming on. And it just took a lot longer to harvest. And you didn't know what you were picking sometimes. So look how these wrapper leaves are all kind of all enclosed. They're self-wrapping varieties. And there's the tiny cauliflower down there. See him? He's beautiful, but he's really small. He's not quite as big as a baseball yet. But he'll grow fast. that little cauliflower would be ready in a week or 10 days if we just get some 40-degree nights and no more of this 85-degree daytime temperatures. Maybe 70s would be better. Well, let's see if we can find some bigger heads. I did see some big ones down here last week that were already getting purple and yellow, discolored from the sun hitting them, because some of the early ones, the wrapper leaves don't do a good job of keeping the curd covered. Here's one with a little bit more size. Man, he's pretty. Almost as big as a softball. Still another week though. Let's see how he's kind of exposed. The wrapper leaves are not staying covered over the curd. So the ones on this side of the row will stay whiter than the ones on this side of the row, because they're exposed to the southern sky, or the sun. The sun's in the southern sky more, so it comes down and will make the south side of each row discolored quicker than the ones on the north side of the row. All right, I found my first full size. Well, he's not quite full size, but he's harvestable size. That's a beauty. 6 inches across, about the size of the ones you'd see in the grocery store. So we are going to harvest this guy tomorrow when we come out here to pick, and I'll show you that whole process in the next video. We aren't going to have a whole lot, but it looks like we're going to have some to harvest. And it just needs some cool weather. That one's getting close. I hear another little leak. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It sounds like another small pinhole. Sometimes a rock will nick the drip tape, or a mouse will chew a little hole in it. It usually sounds a lot worse than it is, just because of the water stream hitting the plastic. Man, I'm a little concerned because I am not seeing any heads forming in these later varieties. So I got numerous varieties out here. Oh, look at the beautiful Morning Glory. Aren't they just lovely? Oh. We got an earlier variety here, and then probably 2 mid-season varieties, and then a row of yellow cauliflower and a row of purple cauliflower. I found a few more heads that we'll probably harvest. That one's a little small. There's a nice size one. There's something called ricing. Ricing's when you start seeing these little hairs. It almost looks like there's hairs growing on the curd. You can almost see it on that one. I don't know if the GoPro is able to focus close enough to see it. But that's called ricing. And ricing is usually due to environmental conditions. It could be too much heat, not enough water, things like that. And it tends to be mainly on the earlier varieties. Later on, that ricing is usually not as bad. It does not affect the flavor or the overall quality at all, really. It's just the aesthetics of it. People don't know what it is when you sell them at the farmers markets, and they might not buy it if it's ricing really bad. Sometimes the ricing's really, really small and minute, and you can't really notice it too much. There's one that's big enough to harvest tomorrow. We'll probably take that size tomorrow. I like them to be a little bit bigger. Some years I've had them the size of dinner plates. I mean, just absolutely massive. But we need to get these started. So we're going to go ahead and harvest them a little bit on the small side tomorrow. Here's a perfect example of what happens when they're exposed to the full sun and heat for too long. See how there's no wrapper leaves keeping this covered? And this could possibly happen to all of them, if they didn't have wrapper leaves. This is why a lot of people will pull the leaves over and wrap them with string or rubber bands to protect them from the sun. Doesn't affect the taste or flavor in any way. Just looks ugly with all that purpling. And you'll start to see the curd spread apart and expand when they start getting a little overripe. Kind of like loose, not as tight. Well, unfortunately, it looks like I'm only going to be harvesting about a dozen or two tomorrow, but hey, at least we'll have some to take to the Worthington Farmers Market. It's better than nothing. I could probably sell a couple 100 heads this weekend at the farmers markets if I had them. Hopefully, next week, we'll have a harvest like that. The only other thing we really have left to do out here as far as harvest goes is picking up the rest of our yellow squash, or not yellow squash, spaghetti squash. It's yellow, so I always say yellow squash. So we got a couple bins of spaghetti squash to pick up, get them washed and packed into melon bins, and then we will be done harvesting everything on this side of the field other than a couple more harvests of bell peppers. So the main thing left out here is broccoli and cauliflower and that one patch of green beans we were walking through a little bit ago. Next on the list of things to do for me is to get this plastic mulch split down the middle with a coulter that mounts on my plastic lifter. So I don't need to lift this plastic because this is biodegradable. You can see a lot of it is degrading already. Like I said, it's just a cornstarch base. I mean, you couldn't pick this up if you tried. It would just all crumble and break apart. So it just gets disked in, and the soil microbes will gobble all that up, and it'll just disappear. But we do have to pull the drip tape, the drip line up. And it's still connected to the header line here. So if we tried to pull that up, yes, it would split through the plastic just fine, but it would get tangled up in these vines, all these dead vines out here. And then you're pulling these massive piles of vines into the wagon with the drip tape. It almost gets to be impossible to pull it anymore because it gets so tangled and heavy. So I'll run my plastic lifter up and down these rows with the coulter to split the plastic in half and to cut all the vines in half. And then the drip lines can be pulled maybe 3 or 4 at a time into a flatbed wagon so we can dispose of them. So I think right after lunch, I'm going to come out here and start splitting this plastic mulch in half so we can be ready to pull up drip tape sometime next week. But right now, I'm heading back up to the barn because we have winter squash to finish washing and packing. So enjoy the sights and sounds of washing and packing all of our spaghetti and butternut squash. Well, I sure am glad my son and I found time this afternoon to come out here and get all these winter squash washed and binned up and ready for Saturday farmers market sales. Feels good to have that done. Won't have to worry about it the rest of the week. But I think I'm going to get out of this heat, head inside, take a load off and relax, maybe do a little bit of editing. But I'll be back out bright and early tomorrow morning with Emma to do some picking of zucchini, cucumbers, and tomatoes. And by the way, if you're interested in seeing the BH100 bean harvester by Oxbow in action that I was using earlier today to pick green beans, I will link that video down in the description box so you can find it quickly and easily. This is where we're going to wrap this one up today, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you all again real soon down the farm.